What I want is that I want this alleged perpetrator to be treated the exact same way if he had attacked anybody else. Because a lot of people get hit with hammers. A lot of people get attacked. And a lot of the times they're out on bail the next day and it's a simple assault charge. So I don't know why this guy is being treated differently. And he's facing what? Attempted homicide. He's in prison right now. We see people assault people all the time randomly with all kinds of weapons, and we see them released the next day. So I don't know why this guy's getting all of a sudden special treatment or different treatment because the victim was so high profile.
Conservatives are uncomfortable with the fact that what seemed to be one of their supporters decided to go and attack Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, in their home. So they're coming up with different ways to excuse it, support it, make fun of it. There, Jesse Waters just decided to connect it to the crime issues in the country and decided to say, hey, you know what? Everybody gets beat over the head. Maybe this is why you shouldn't just allow people to get out in someone's home with attempted murder with a hammer to the devastation that was carried out on Paul Pelosi in his house. So are those circumstances the one that you see all the time when people get released? It doesn't matter. Let's continue to just trigger the biases and the fears of the people that watch our show. There's someone that did it much crazier. His name is Dinesh D'Souza, and he asked a whole bunch of questions. You know, this is the form that they go with when they're looking to tell people what to think, but they were just asking questions. Let's listen to Dinesh D'Souza's stupid ass questions.
Morning, but why was the assailant in his underpants? And what if the assailant said, where's Nancy? Not because he was after Nancy Pelosi, but he wanted to make sure she was not home. And how did they both get hammers? And how did Paul Pelosi get away? Bathroom break to make the 911 call. And why did Paul Pelosi tell the police that he knew the guy? His name was David. And he was, quote, a friend. My conclusion, this guy, the assailant, is either a sex partner or a male prostitute, and this is a sexual rendezvous that went sideways.
He's just asking a whole bunch of questions with his face way too uncomfortably close to the camera. Is it? They're both in their underwear. He followed up with, I think this is a truth. Because he wants to explain why he's so curious and why he asks so many horrible questions. As a movie guy, first lie. As a movie guy, I'd like to play with weird scenarios to make sense of them. Could the Pelosi situation be a romantic tryst that went awry? Pelosi said, quote, I want you to hammer me, or words to that effect. And the other guy took it literally and got to work just as the cops got there. Or maybe, Dinesh, you're writing an erotic novel, or maybe you're writing your next bad film. And this is some scene that you're looking to film because it plays out to your fantasies about your political opponents in a tryst. And then one of them getting beaten nearly to death because that's what really gets you off. He just plays with these things. Also, 5-year-olds play with thought processes too. Does that mean they should be posting about it and sending out videos so that idiot followers can go? The 5-year-old said that the rainbow actually dumps a pile of coins at the end of it, and we should all go and collect it, just like Scrooge McDuck. Should we follow that too? Because you're a filmmaker, because you have a colorful imagination. There's more. There's folks that joked about it too. Donald Trump Jr. retweeted someone on the internet that posted this picture and said, got my Paul Pelosi Halloween costume ready. Underpants and a hammer, because that's funny. There's more, because Donald Trump Jr. retweeted this as well, or retruth, whatever the hell he's doing, Instagrammed it. Dear fact checkers, as he posted this doctored South Park scene here. Dear fact checkers, this has nothing to do at all with anything going on in the news and simply posting a cartoon of what appears to be an altered South Park scene. As you see, the scene has a tryst, as Dinesh was talking about, because it's so funny. Jessica, the one thing I didn't see, since we're talking about political violence, especially when it comes to the husband of the Speaker of the House. I remember when the softball shooting happened, and then many Republicans were targeted. Steve Scalise was hit, nearly died, I think. I didn't see very many posts from sons, daughters of presidents, even elected officials, family members around that, posting things like, a bloody baseball uniform, a gun next to a baseball hat, a big R, and then maybe some bullets next to it. I didn't see any of that stuff, but they'll claim that's what happened.
Yeah, it's super interesting to hear people like Jesse Waters say stuff about how we should treat this assailant like he's a regular guy. First of all, the comment about people being released the day after they commit violent offenses, that's absolutely not how the jail system works in the United States, but I really wouldn't expect someone like Jesse Waters to know that. But when it comes to people who are in public office being uniquely protected, it's absolutely the case everywhere. And Fox News, when people were terribly upset about 9 people, which really it was 5 on the Supreme Court who decided to strip away women's rights, they did not want people protesting at their houses. They were like, this is ridiculous to have a peaceful protest in front of their houses. They should be, yards and yards away. We should fence up the Supreme Court. And so for him to say something like this is absolutely absurd because we know it's hypocritical. But what's going on here is they're trying to make excuses like this guy wasn't committing an act of political violence, because as much as they want to preach populist rhetoric, they don't want the consequences of that for people to actually be mad at rich people because they're members of the elites in the United States.
100%. And by the way, let's go with this whole thing, because I want you guys to notice something. This whole push for gay tryst, maybe you invited him over, it's a lover's exchange gone awry. All of that talk, the whole point is to capitalize on the decades and decades and decades of homophobia and hate that they fomented with their followers. It's, if this was a straight relationship, which again, they're saying this relationship, say there's a straight couple that gets into it and there's some kind of fight, which happens all the time. Jesse Waters, people get hit all the time. Women always get attacked by their male lovers. It happens a lot. Does that mean that it's suddenly nothing? I guess in Jesse Waters' case, he probably doesn't care about that either. But the point is, when they're pushing these things for this gay tryst, it means these people aren't worth your compassion, your care, or your concern. So if there is a gay couple and there's some kind of a fight or something, you're supposed to not care about it. Remember, they're evil. There's more, because Marjorie Taylor Greene also tweeted stuff out about this as well. And of course, she made it about herself. Violence and crime are rampant in Joe Biden's America. That's the next push they're going with this. It shouldn't happen to Paul Pelosi. It shouldn't happen to innocent Americans. It shouldn't happen to me. As she pointed out, she was swatted 6 times. Violence and death threats every day. What if someone was posting jokes, which I'm sure people have, or what if it was a political opponent posting jokes about you being swatted 6 times? Maybe they'll throw a SWAT uniform next to someone who's acting like your dead body and laying on the floor. Is that acceptable for you? Because this is the type of stuff they're doing, but everyone's accepting it because we're so used to them being pieces of garbage. They're like, we're already in the garbage pail. Everyone expects it. Let's keep pushing it. It's gonna get worse and worse and worse. Here's Greg Kelly. Just wondering, he puts in quotes, just wondering. If Nancy Pelosi tried to stage her own mini January 6th, complete with leaving the doors and windows open for quote insurrectionists and this DePape fellow, that or she can't secure her home or office. Could she secure January 6th office when you guys went in there and was spreading feces and all that? Oh, I forgot that didn't happen. Or did it happen? Because you're comparing it to that here. And then maybe she should have staged this one, like she staged that one. Did she tell Donald Trump to tell everyone to run down to the Capitol and make their voices known and to get the right people in office? If you think about it longer than 5 seconds, you'll understand this is just chocked full of hate. One more little part here, because I want to point out how devastating and violent this whole thing was. Graphic 6. The suspect did plan to keep Paul Pelosi tied up until the speaker got home, is what law enforcement sources said to CBS News. Police have not specified a motive, but said it was not a random act. And also a CBS News review of suspected social media posts by DePape turned up conspiracy theories about Holocaust denial, pedophiles in the government, and claims that Democratic officials run child sex rings. You know, all that stuff that Nancy Pelosi talks about. All that stuff that makes it her fault. Or you could say, maybe I'm gonna tone down the talk about groomers because someone wants to protect children. Maybe I should tone down the talk about how they're coming and drinking children's blood because I wanna rile up more and more of my hateful followers. But they can't do that because all they care about is getting into power and destroying the country further. It's just a plan.
Yeah, this really speaks to the state of American politics. When we should be talking about policies, we should
100%.
be talking and doing things ahead of the midterm elections. Instead, we're talking about what the reason was for the attacker at Nancy Pelosi's house, and the person third in line for the presidency is getting attacked. It's just devastating that this is where we're at.
Time to refocus. We have a week left, starting tomorrow. We're gonna get back on it.